Hi, fourth graders. So we've got lesson 12-9 today, which is actually subtracting mixed numbers. I checked over your work for both lessons and I'm pretty impressed. I'm noticing a couple of you are not using the structure that I did recommend. Some of you are actually working horizontally, which is fine. It can get a little tricky when it comes to subtraction. I'm just letting you know that's where the horizontal method might not work for you. So I'm going to model again today subtraction using a model and do it better. And then I'm also going to show you one of my favorite things. It's called subtracting from error. It's a really tricky part with basically using a whole number and subtracting a mixed number from it. So that's the glitch you'll see today. All right, let's start with our first one. As a quick review, you'll see problems like this. I'm using the guided practice and I'm actually going to do number 4 from the guided practice. And then I'm going to work backwards. I'm going to go to number 3 because number 3 is where you actually have to subtract from error. So number 4 is written horizontally like this. So 6 3/10. Notice the denominator. Subtract 1 8/10. Okay. It is, again, something that will help you if you are working horizontally. So you're going to rewrite this, and I'm just going to rewrite it using the structure here. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract on this side. And then I'm going to erase because I really want to be able to show you this method of subtracting once more. So notice the whole numbers, take a gander at those. Notice the sign. I know you're all going to be working on subtraction, but in the next couple of lessons, they're going to mix it up again. And then notice, of course, your fractions. This, again, we have a problem. You'll see that there's an 8 here. It has to be this way, just like in subtraction. You have to have the larger number on top, which 6 3/10 is actually larger. And you'll notice the 3. So what we need to do in this case, and I saw some of you do a beautiful job on this, and some of you aren't necessarily doing what I've showed you. So just a reminder, it helps. I promise you it does. So you're going to take this whole number 6 and you're going to translate it. You're going to regroup and you're going to take one whole, because this is actually in the ones place, one whole over here and you're going to rename it. So this now becomes a 5. And you're going to have to add that one whole and take a gander. Okay, you've got tenths being used here, so we're going to rename that one whole 10, 10. We're now going to add 10 plus 3, and we're going to get an improper fraction of 13 over 10. And you can, I saw some of you do this just to keep it neater, and I really liked that. So I'm going to go ahead and keep in my head 13 subtract 8. So what is that, Dustin?
What? 5.
8. So we have 5 tenths over here. And then we have 5 subtract 1, which is 4. Now, the last step, the one that seems to be getting some of you still, is simplifying. So notice here that they have a common factor of 5. You know another name for 5 tenths. Yep, 1/2. So you're gonna have to rewrite this in its simplest form, 5 1/2. And you could do that by just going divided by 5, divided by 5. So that's how you take out it does. So your true answer, and I loved some of you were actually boxing your answers in this case, and I appreciate that too, because I'm able to actually see what the whole process was like. So that would be subtracting again, just when you have a fraction that is not big enough to subtract from, so you have to borrow or regroup.
Wait, before you erase, can I just say something? Because when I was doing this, the part that confused me the most, it confused me.
Can you see your face?
Sure. It confused me. I don't know if it'll confuse you. You guys probably already understand this, but adding the 10 tenths seemed kind of random to me. I didn't really understand that, and I don't think it really got explained to me until I later figured it out in like 7th grade. Basically, when you're doing regular subtraction without fractions, you're borrowing from the next tenths place. You're taking one, you know how to subtract, and you like, let's say 19 minus 13. Sorry, that's a bad example. 13 minus 9. 3 is less than 9, so you have to borrow from the tenths place. Well, this is just the same thing, because the fractions are just another like tenths place down. And so adding the tenths is just 10 tenths is actually just adding 1, so that you have enough to subtract this fraction. And the 10 tenths is just because the denominator is 10 and 10 tenths is already a whole. And I don't know, you probably already understand this, but it just confused me when I was learning this, so it's just a tip.
I love it. Nice, Dee.
Yeah.
Now, my favorite part. This is called subtracting, I call it subtracting from error. It's not really subtracting from error, but it's what it looks like to me. So I'm using the guided practice, and I said I'm going to go back to number 3 on guided practice. The whole number 5 is just here, it's placed here. And then underneath, you have 2 and 3/4. Do you agree that 5 is larger than 2 and 3/4? Yes, so it has to be this way. So there's nothing here, there's no fraction to work with. So you need to get a fraction to work with. What are you gonna do? That's right. You're gonna take a whole over and you're gonna rename it, and it's gonna go right on top of this error. We're gonna just say, this is gonna be a 4, and since this is the denominator 4, we're gonna bring 4/4 over. So we just took one whole over, we took one from here. So 4/4 subtract 3/4, that's easy, 1/4. Now 4 subtract 2, 2/4. Okay, it's a pretty basic process. This one's really fun. You'll see a couple of them in your work today. Just don't forget that you need to have a fraction to subtract a fraction from. And renaming is the game right from here. All right, you guys, hopefully that made it okay. And if you do have questions, just post them there to the assignment and I'll get back with you. Thanks, you guys.